Greetings, citizens of the world. Allow me to express my opinion while it's still allowed. It appears to me that the governments of the world are colluding to bring in a centralized control system for governance of the entire world. An alleged viral infection, which world leaders say is unprecedented in severity, although the mortality statistics they report put this threat to between a level of garden variety influenza to end of humanity worldwide apocalypse. I, for one, do not see hospitals' capacity strained. I do not even have one sick person within my circle of acquaintances. None of my family, friends, co-workers, or neighbors have any flu-like symptoms at this moment. Yet we are told that we must not congregate. We're instructed to imprison ourselves in our homes. We are being forced to shut down entire sectors of commerce, mostly small businesses. None of these actions will protect us from viral infection in any way. Complying with these dictates, however, does in fact cause massive permanent damage to our society, our culture, and our economy. To me, this seems like a 9/11 2.0. For decades now, our governments have been directing us to turn over our privacy, our rights, and even our livelihoods over fears of a terrible threat that never pans out. And when the threat subsides, what we have given away is never returned. I believe that a short course in false flag operations will enlighten anyone to the fact that governments often foment and even fabricate threats in order to accrue power. I also believe that a short course in law will illuminate the fact that governments often violate the very laws they enforce upon their people in order to steal power and even hide their own criminal activity. I believe that it is no longer enough just to speak amongst ourselves that our government has breached its jurisdiction, is corrupt, and is violating basic human rights as a matter of course. I believe that it is not enough to refuse to comply with legislation that only hampers us. I believe that we no longer have any more liberties to give up. I believe that we're at a point where we're being forced to enslave and injure ourselves. I believe that once we have shackled ourselves, as we are being ordered to do, that the mass culling of what the world rulers call their chattel will begin unbridled. What I am alluding to is my belief that soon we will be required to receive an immunization, and that this injection will not necessarily protect us. It may, however, cause injury. If the shot causes injury, we will have minimal recourse for the damage, as is currently the situation in the United States, where vaccine makers assume zero legal liability for the safety or efficacy of the product. And litigious proceedings on the matter are required to be kept secret. I find it bizarre that what I am saying reflects current reality and is not fiction. How does a person acquiesce to live under such a system? Anyway, I believe that it is time to storm the gates of power with torches and pitchforks, drag the criminals out, and hang them. Alternatively, we can wait for them to approach us in our homes with their syringes, but it may remove any strategic advantage to do so unless we were to plan an ambush or something similar. Every day we make a choice. So far, every day, we have chosen to let these leaders have their way, even when we know it is wrong. We know that if we do not fight for our rights, we willingly relinquish them. And we know that once we have turned over our power, we will not get it back without a fight. We've been backed into a corner, and now we must fight for our lives or lie down and turn over our very will to those to whom we have given up our rights. I believe that as time goes by, the chance that we can regain our liberties without bloodshed diminishes, and that we may have crossed that threshold already. I, for one, am ready, willing, and able to fight in any capacity, but we seem to have been effectively atomized. Our leaders have played us off against one another, using every demographic possible to such an extent that we cannot work toward the common goal of freedom, because we cannot see past our differences. That's why it is imperative to stop listening to the lying mouthpieces of this corporate government partnership and instead learn how to question authority and think for ourselves. You may be rich, poor, black, white, other, gay, straight, other, male, female, other, old, young, religious or not, a veteran, a welfare recipient, a hippie, Republican, Democrat, a communist, a capitalist, a yuppie, a nerd, a jock, blonde, brunette, ginger, other, a business owner, a felon, a pillar of your community, an illegal immigrant, short, tall, skinny, fat, pro-choice, pro-life, a metalhead, or a Zen Buddhist. Regardless of our differences, we are all human beings, and we all face this common threat, which is the encroachment and overreach of government power to the point where it no longer serves us, but seeks to gain complete domination over every facet of our lives, and only diminishes us and stifles our ability to flourish. It may help to be reminded that those who dictate how we must go about our lives do not themselves live within the confines that they create for us. They now openly engage in criminal activity, violating us terribly, and when we cry, they say that it must be this way for our own well-being, safety, and security. I know that nobody with discernment believes that statement to be true, but that is not enough. When faced with this type of abuse, we must stand our ground and actively refuse to comply. We must demand justice and take it for ourselves if it is not given. The alternative is a descent into slavery and a new dark ages for humanity. And remember, deception and fear are not the only weapons being used against us in this battle for control of our lives. We're also injured by poisons in our food, water, air, medicine, and media. Indeed, many of the products that we buy reduce, injure, and enslave us in many ways. Our very monetary system is a trap of never-ending, ever-increasing debt. There is a conscious force behind the actions of government, but that consciousness is not our own. The apparent ineptitude and circus that we see is contrived. The struggle already won't be easy, but every day that we do not engage against this entity, the more difficult it will be. I can only hope that it is not too late for us. I love you all. We are anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget. United as one, divided by zero. Expect us.